Okay, we're going to talk about process costing today. So process costing system. First of all, process costing system is usually utilized for something where it's hard to discern one product from another. So usually when there's something that goes through a process and you can't tell, by barcoding or even physically what product is which as far as applying cost goes. So it's easy to do, a job order cost system is easy to use for something like bicycles or guitars or furniture, because you can tell which piece of furniture you're working on, you can tell which bike you're working on, you can tell that kind of thing. But what about if you're processing oil or making, or you're bottling soda, or you're doing something liquid is the easiest ones that come to mind for me. I can't discern which gallon is which gallon. So instead, I use when I use a process costing system, I trace costs through the process, and I assign all the costs used during a given time frame to how much work was put in to a group of products. That's what a process costing system is and kind of what it's for. A process manufacturer is a manufacturer that uses large machines to process a continuous flow of raw materials through various stages of completion into a finished state. So the 4 steps in the process are: step 1 is to determine the units that need to be assigned cost. So how many units did I actually have that were in this process and a part of this process to begin with? Step 2 is to compute the equivalent units. That's probably the most complex part of this, and usually the part that trips most people up. But effectively, we're saying, okay, if something was 10% done, then I needed 90% in order to complete it. So rather than saying it that way, we'll take the number of units and multiply it by 90% and say this is the equivalent units of 90% of the units being 100% done. That'll hopefully make more sense when I explain it in the actual video. But computing equivalent units is step 2. Step 3 is to determine the cost per equivalent unit. So once I find these equivalent units, I can divide it by the total cost to figure out how much I spent per equivalent unit, and then allocate costs to units being transferred out and how much stays in the transferred out as far as finished goods, and then partially completed units. So what I'm going to start the next period of time with. So we'll go through I'm going to make a video for each step just to kind of break this down as much as possible. So that's kind of just the overview of process costing and the 4-step process. And the next video we'll do step 1, and then we'll continue to the next 3 steps.